Hello, Herd, and welcome to another episode of the Herd Main Show. I'm your Herd leader, John Wayne.
I am wiping away tears because I laughed too hard.
And as mentioned, this is the main show. This is where we talk about the main thing, our main fandom, our flagship, if you will, and that be Star Wars.
Is our flagship a boat?
I like to think it's an Imperial Star Destroyer. But,
nice.
I mean, that's what is Imperial Star Destroyer if not boat persevering? So no, yeah, if this is your gateway into Nerd Herder, or if you just forget because we're just ridiculous and bad at our jobs, this is where we talk about Star Wars. You know, Star Wars is what we have to thank for a podcast and for many of our inside jokes and many of our friends as well. Many a thing we can attribute to the joy of Star Wars in our lives. And this show being none other than that. We do talk about a lot of other things, and you've got a lot of that in the pipe as well because MCU has been busting it out. And then, I mean, we've got all kinds of other stuff. We like a lot of things. We like a lot of you, and thank you for tuning in and checking this out.
Yeah, we just finished the Loki series. It was fantastic.
Yeah, we've got a lot to catch up on. We were on an impromptu break there for a bit, just because summer got crazy, and so doing this was not entirely doable. And so we didn't, and now we are, not because it's easier, but just because lots of coffee. I don't know. It's just, we're motivated. But for those that have been going back, I check all the time, even when we're not making stuff, to see how episodes are doing, and I've seen numbers go up, and I always appreciate that because, you know, it's one thing when people are listening because you're always doing it and always talking about stuff. It's another when people are listening just because, or, you know, even when nothing new is happening and whatnot. So it's just appreciated. And anytime anyone listens to this madness, it's appreciated. Because, you know, I mean, it's just nice to be validated.
Give me that validation, Daddy.
Exactly.
Just that sweet, sweet validation.
And right now we're validating our feelings because we're continuing. For the past couple of months, we've been doing a series where we just revisit the Star Wars films one by one and just journey through positivity and joy and affection for them.
Yes, because we have quite a bit of affection.
Yeah, and there is a lot of darkness going on. There's always a little darkness in the Star Wars fandom, but in particular, I don't know, for some reason, kind of climbing into this year, there was a good bit of it, and we were thinking of ways that we could focus on positivity, because that's our whole thing, that's our whole brand. We're not good at a lot of things, but we're good at being positive and loving things, so let's just do that. And what better way to do that than to return to the things that started all of this, and you know, the big meat on the bones of what made us love Star Wars. I mean, I think we've made it clear we like a lot of things, a lot of Star Wars, but I mean, you know, you got the movies. It's hard to like Star Wars and not like the movies.
It's hard, but I see some people who just do it so well.
Yeah, and that's by saying it's hard, it's not wrong. I mean, they're you know, I get if you prefer shows or if you prefer reading content and everything, you know, enjoy it your way, for sure. But you know, I would not love Star Wars the way I did if I didn't watch, especially the original trilogy, and then just had you know, the prequels not far behind it and everything. I mean, if not for the movies, I would not love Star Wars. Now, that said, a lot of my favorite Star Wars isn't the movies, but things I'm very passionate about are the movies. You know, riddle me this. I don't know what all of that means. It's word garbage, but I like the movies. They're meaningful.
The movies are the main meat of the series, I think you could say, but they are not the entire meal.
No, I think it's wrong to go either direction. I think definitely if you, well, I don't mean, let me retract wrong. I think it's ill-advised to just watch the movies just as much as I think it's ill-advised to not watch the movies. I mean, we're literally talking about it every time, how much each of these movies in different ways means to us and the many memories that we have. And that's the whole point of this series, is to just kind of recount why we love them, what they mean to us and everything. Because sometimes we just forget to do that. We are so busy theorizing and we're so busy ranking and we're so busy with hot takes that we don't just simply return to our love of the fandoms. We think our love is content, and I mean, we're kind of recording it and making content, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't know. We never just gush anymore like we used to, and I say we as in just fans in general. We need to learn to love love the things we say we love again, maybe fall in love with loving again. I don't know. Write lyrics with this stuff. It'd be great.
Star Wars into your heart, baby. Just let it happen.
We have gone all the way now. I mean, it's in the freaking title, so I don't know. Like, it's not dancing around. It's not a secret. We're talking about Return of the Jedi. So we've talked about 5 so far. And Dang. Every time it's a little different because, other than our ideas of, all right, what are some things I really like about this? What are some memories I have? Like, other than some guidance, I mean, it's really fluid, and so it means that every episode's a little different in how we talk about and love these movies on mic and share that with everyone. And every time we always encourage people to share their love with us, reasons they enjoy it, memories they have of it. We all come at Star Wars and life differently. So
absolutely.
Part of the fun of doing anything on the internet is interaction and friendship. And so we want to share that. So, but nonetheless, Return of the Jedi.
Return of the freaking Jedi, the last movie of the prequels. And honestly...
The originals.
Return of the
Jedi.
Return of the
it's
Jedi.
Fine.
My brain didn't work for a second.
Technically, they're prequels to the sequels.
Listen, man. I haven't had a lot of coffee today.
You don't have to defend
it.
I meant. Get over your fear of the internet crucifying you for a wrong statement on a podcast.
Man, okay, so if I was afraid of that, I wouldn't have called Luke a Gary Sue in the last one.
Right. I mean, it's not like anybody listens to this, so it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, except Kevin, of course. But
I love Kevin.
Yeah. He's too busy squatting and grunting to really digest the content, so it's just noise in his ears. It's just, you got this, buddy.
You're doing great.
You're doing great.
This
squats.
Is the Kev podcast.
Look at those calves.
Look at those glutes.
Oh gosh. Anyway, but yeah. So that's something I did want to talk about because, it's really hard going backwards of looking at these movies, looking at the original trilogy in particular, where, I mean, we'd all say we generally encounter nothing but positivity around these movies.
Yes.
You dare not say anything negative about the original trilogy, George Lucas's trilogy. He did the prequels too, but whatever.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, though. I think that it's kind of lost to time, the moments where maybe these weren't as interesting or popular.
Yeah.
But I know. Especially endings, it's hard. Sequels just have to escalate things. Whatever was set up, you just have to do it better and harder and add more tension. Whereas sequels actually have to deal with the tension. They have to wrap it up. They have to solve the problem. And when there's a problem and there's a solution, there's bound to be people that wanted to solve it a different way or didn't want it solved at all, or whenever there's endings and resolutions, you're bound to piss somebody off because it's not what they thought it should be, because it's not like factual equations. It's not it's not objective of, if you get 2 + 2, it's 4. It's much more whimsical and loose than that of, well, no, it should be 6, or no, it should be 7, or what if it was 12? You can fill in the gap. You might have a lot of people that think it's still 4, but there's always going to be people that think it should have been 8 and whatever, and so, I mean, Return of the Jedi, I can see the ill reception of it. I've seen clips of people looking very much forward to and getting interviewed right before going in and all this other stuff, and all this stuff of just people looking forward to this, because of the big resolution, and then teddy bears and it's a different feel to this one than I think the rest of the original trilogy.
It's definitely you could definitely call this one off the rails a little bit. In certain scenes, but that's looking at it not in the big picture, if that makes sense. You can definitely concentrate on the fact that C-3PO becomes a cult leader for a little bit. That's great.
I think it's mostly the Ender stuff for me. Yeah, like where
Yeah.
and not that I'm saying harsh negatives. I just mean I think it's that stuff that I mostly attribute of like, yeah, I can see why people thought this was a little weird and maybe not where they anticipated it to go. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely interesting. I'd almost feel like the trilogy is not fair to Star Wars. We've kind of gotten stuck with it now, but it's just like,
Yeah.
would it have been the same if it was 4 movies? Would it, I don't know.
Yeah, I get you. They really locked themselves into a formula.
It had to get done here. They had to finish so much. They had to finish the Rebellion versus the Empire. They had to finish this now newly introduced thing of familial, strife. Mari's show in space. Like, they had to resolve this new father-son situation, father-son and daughter situation.
And, looking back, it moves so fast. I wasn't thinking about the first few times that I watched it as a youth. But now, like, as an adult, I'm just sitting back going, wow.
Mostly because they spent the first half hour on a very great action sequence, heist, almost Indiana Jones-esque kind of escapade, rescuing Han. Which again, I mean, you had to have that resolution, But it is interesting. I know for me, like growing up, like this was one of my. I love this movie for 2 things. I loved it for the beginning sequence in Jabba's palace. The best part, that's the times I liked Luke. That's when I was cheering on Luke. I mean, I'm not a full ignite the green kind of guy or anything like that, but I will say, as a kid, the cool Luke Skywalker was flailing around a green lightsaber on Tatooine. Like that, that I remember being when I was like, oh, this guy's cool.
Finally, he's
right,
cool.
right, and Han was comedic relief, but I'll talk about that. But so I loved the Jabba's palace stuff, and then as I've mentioned before, I loved the dogfighting. I loved the escalation on the effects that they did and the action sequence in flight and everything. I mean, the Battle of Endor is just a technical achievement,
one of the best,
up and down, and so those I remember being the big reasons I watched this on repeat growing up, and for sure.
This was like the one that I kept going back to, even as a casual fan of Star Wars. Like, this was the one that I would watch just because I wanted to watch a Star War. And, like, it's specifically just for the Hutt Leia scene. I'm going to be real with
it's for 30 seconds.
Exactly. But yeah, I loved the opening sequence in Jabba's palace.
It was fun.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, well, and and that does start off this weird palette shift, though, of, I mean, we'd not really seen anything quite like that, like this ragtag, let's go save our friend escapade. It went, I mean, the first one was very much, let's storm the castle, rescue the princess. The second one is very much, the front half is loaded with military of, we are fighting the bad guys, and this is our tactics, and this is our strategy. And then it moves into the Knight's Tale of, here's Excalibur, here's the dragon, go slay. And then we get into this one, and it's very, I mean, it's almost like bust into the saloon, rescue them at high noon kind of situation. And then it goes somewhere else. It goes into, fight the system, and, teddy bears deserve rights too, or something. It's like, it's set up from the get-go. It is not normal. But I think that's cool, because again,
perfect the way it was made.
I know the reason I enjoyed it. It was because it was just so adventurous.
So I am of the opinion, which I think I share with quite a few people, that there are 2 places that the Star Wars universe is perfect for, and that is noir film and heist movies. They do both of those so well. And we get that, we get that in Attack of the Clones. We get that partially in Return of the Jedi. We get that a lot in Clone Wars. It's also great for Westerns and Solo. Like, I love the train scene in Solo.
It's so a melting pot. It's not fair to call it sci-fi, for sure. I mean, just because they have technology doesn't mean it's science fiction. Doesn't mean it's on the par of Star Trek and all this other stuff. It really is a melting pot of genres and approaches. And I think that episode 6 features that more than anything. I just think that it fits in on its own, but I mean, again, I can see how people going from Empire to this. It's a little.
It's
This is
very
more
different.
fun.
Yeah.
This is definitely, and I know it gets like super criticized for it. I mean, especially with the Ewoks. The Ewoks are the face of it. Of like, this is very family oriented. This is very childish.
Yes,
Not
when you don't look
not
too
in a
deep.
negative. No, yeah. I mean, it's still, it doesn't sacrifice any. I mean, neither does Rebels, Clone Wars, Resistance. Neither does any of the stuff that's oriented towards youth. Like, it doesn't sacrifice the Star Wars story at all. It's just that it definitely seemed like it was going broader. I mean, you can watch the first one, and I know there are so many things on record of Lucas saying that, you know, Star Wars as a whole is meant for inspiring kids, you know, like that C.S. Lewis quote of, you know, we need to teach them that they can slay the dragons, you know, like we need to tell them stories of knights and dragons so they know they can be those. And I get that. I think Star Wars as a whole, yes, has ended up there. I don't think the first one was entirely there. I don't think that you can put the first one entirely on that. Now, was it safe to show your kids? Yeah.
Totally.
But I don't think it was entirely, they knew this was going to be for kids. I especially, and Empire too. I think it, like, there was some stuff, sure, but by and large, I think they were wrestling with big things.
Yeah.
And when I say kids, I do mean like it is coming of age.
Yeah, it was a movie made specifically for Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, well, it's not like, you know, kindergarten kids. It's kids that are obviously developing, learning, asking questions, looking to be inspired. But I think episode 6 is where you really see that land.
Yeah.
And I think it's continued well since then. And that, again, not a criticism, it's just an observation where I think that that's where we start to see the Star Wars that has come to be, that's for everyone.
Absolutely.
I think episode 4 and 5, although I've seen and know kids that love those movies, I think by and large they're choosing episode 6 or the prequels or the sequels, because I think that 4 and 5 are just so dense with inspiration, with meaningfulness. I think that has to be relevant and likable later.
Yeah, I think the original trilogy and the prequels are definitely inspiration for that younger generation, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it's stories, like you said, about slaying dragons. It's stories about coming up against an ultimate evil and coming out on top. I think that the sequels are inspiration for adults. Like, we have lived through so much up to this point. We need that reminder.
Yeah, I mean, I see and agree with that only because we're adults and that's how it's meaningful to us.
I get that.
You know, like, I think it just comes, I just know I watched episode 6 for very different reasons than I watched any of the others. You know, episode 4 and 5, and I'll put it alongside the Caravan of Courage and all that, because and that was the reason I liked those movies too, was because I was a kid and those were fun. I mean, I know I was on the cusp of, you know, really coming into what episode 4 and 5 were selling, of this, you know, longing for more, you know, and this idea of, like, you know, just, I have to do what's right. But is it the right time to do what's right? Like, those things were coming, but it was definitely 6 and the fun stuff that I think landed and stuck and helped keep me interested for sure.
Yeah. Holiday Special wasn't inspiring. It was just,
well, I didn't watch that until much later.
It was that acid trip featuring Jefferson
it's
Starship.
Fun though.
Like, it's so much fun.
But yeah, and again, a big attribute of that is just this one is funnier. This one is much. You know, I joked earlier, but you know, Han is kind of relegated to humor.
Okay.
There's not a moment in here where you're not laughing or smiling or you're going, oh, you dog, you know, like,
he has one of the best lines in all of Star Wars, where it's like, Luke turns to him and says, you know, I was born here.
Yeah, it's like,
you'll die here too.
You know,
it's convenient.
Like, and like, there's so many things where he, and I said relegated. I don't think he was like pushed to that role. I think it's just he fit. You know, Luke had to be the hero. He had to mature, which they handled very well. I liked that. And of course, Leia too. She had to lead. And so what was left for development as far as Han Solo? They made the scoundrel fall in love with the princess and everything. So what's next? I mean, make him wholesome now. because he kind of always was, but now it's just he's not doing it in bars. You know, it's
exactly.
like they're taking elements that were he was always the one with the sarcastic quip, the one with the side eye, the one with the he's saying what we all think of hokey religions and all that, and then they just put that more forward and more friendly, and then there you go, you got the one just you know I can see a lot better now. You know, it's just like that's that whole sequence of rescuing Lando while slightly blind. I love all of that.
And accidentally being responsible for the deformation of Boba
Fett. Of just, you know, mishandling such a great character. I mean, him and Obi-Wan, right? You know, and so yeah, and then I mean, and it just keeps continuing of just like, you know, I don't know, fly casual, like they're like, and it's so quotable too. I mean, like next to Episode 7 and a bit of 9, this is the best Han Solo has been for sure. Not the most meaningful. I think that's Episode 5, but definitely this is Han being the Han I think most of us latched onto.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, yeah, I appreciate the fun and the humor and everything, but again, this is a big job of this movie was to resolve the new introduction of Vader as a father, the father of our hero character even, and it does make a quick shift because you get that fun in the front end, and then we go into this drama. Yeah. And I mean, it gets really somber too. I know I still get like tinges of emotion with the whole Luke going back to Yoda and that whole exchange, and Yoda still not quite wanting to, you know, break the news, even when like he knows he's about to die and everything. I love the seriousness of that. And I love how it continued what started in Episode 5, where, you know, 5, there's that just quick shift where Yoda gets super serious.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, you see, this is Yoda. This isn't the weird hermit. This isn't he. Right. This is straight, like, no, all right, important business. Yeah. But I love all of this, and I love the thing with Obi-Wan and Luke afterwards of just like, why didn't you tell, like, you know, wrestling with that. Not just being like, okay, he's my father now, but, you know, kind of dealing with the drama of that and everything. Obviously that's more appreciated growing up now, but it's still some of my favorite moments, and definitely some of my favorite formative moments for Luke.
Absolutely. Like it really sets up his character in The Last Jedi. I know I said that last time when we talked about
well, I mean, all of it has.
All of it
points to The Last Jedi.
All of it. Exactly. Yeah. Like, watch
it's almost as if he's the same character.
Right? Watch The Last Jedi and tell me that Luke is not that scared little boy the first time he was on Dagobah.
Yeah. Like, well, and two, this is very much that moment that Rey has in Episode 9, where it's kind of sitting with the pieces and sitting with the truth, and having to decide not to do something because you have to do something, but deciding how you do something. You know, he's kind of left with these truths of who Vader is and who he is, and there's no question. He has to face Vader, yes, but it's that choice then of how do I do this? And same with Rey, where it's just like, I have to do something. I can't run away from this problem, but how do I do it? And obviously the choice is to go and say that you don't have power over me, to face this evil and say, I mean, not just Vader in this case, obviously now the Palpatine, because we get real good payoff of his introduction from 5.
Oh, yes.
Good old Ian McDiarmid.
Just absolutely killing it.
But yeah, you get him coming in and staring down this evil and saying, you want this, but I'm not going to give it to you. I'm going to stand my ground, and I'm going to do this. That proves to be the ultimate Jedi thing he could do, by standing and simply saying, no, I will not do that. Exactly. I will do this.
That's so much part of the inspiration that makes this movie for kids.
Yeah.
It's, like I said, looking in the face of evil, literally sometimes, and saying, no, you know what? This isn't the way. This isn't how this is going to go. I'm going to do what's not expected of me.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is like, and that's why I say, like, Episode 6 needs no help making that the case. Like, making that inspirational to kids. Where, you know, just following up of what I said earlier, again, 4 and 5, I think that's a conversation. You afterward, you talk to your parents, or you talk to someone, or you talk about it in general, and that leads you to, oh, okay, that's why that matters to me.
Yeah.
Whereas with 6, there's no, I knew there was no question of like, no, it was that just moment of standing and just saying no. Like he wasn't swinging his saber and just
No.
slaying the dragon. He simply just looked at it and said no. Like, you know, I think there's something so important about the physicality of that moment. You know, a lot of people attribute this as one of the best lightsaber battles, and I agree. It's up there. It's the best of the original trilogy,
Oh, definitely.
for sure, because they actually get super physical with it. They show off a lot more power and abilities, but it's really the payoff more than the battle, I think, for me, that I really enjoy about this movie, and that's the moments where I really like intentionally like tune in every time, just to hear him say, "No, I'm a Jedi, like my father before me," and that and not only the confirmation and the solidarity that he has in his own calling and journey, but what it means when he says that for his father.
Yeah.
I'm a Jedi like my father. I believe my father was a good man. I believe he was a Jedi and is.
And if you've read the Charles Soule's fantastic Vader series, that moment in Vader's mind when he sees the light, that is that coming.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I love that moment where he sees his savior. He sees his son as the light coming back to him, and that's what I mean. Like that in that moment, to be this person that's done so many horrible things, has bought into the lie that you are no more than what you've done, and that you can never go back. To hear your son say, "No, I'm going to do this like my father would have," and really, I mean, he's being presented. So there's two meaningful moments in this with the whole Darth Vader thing, and this was a big thing for me because you know, the special editions changed some things. And one of them, now when I say special editions, there are multiple. Yeah. There's changes that happened that aren't attributed to special edition releases. Obviously, when we think special edition, we think like Jabba the Hutt was added. They changed the
you're a wonderful human being.
They changed the music scene in Jabba's palace in the beginning. By the way, it's awesome.
We love it so much. We love Sice Noodles.
Like it's so good. I don't know what people's problem with this is. It's not even bad CGI. What is your problem, guys? Just enjoy good music. And also, the Ewok change is... I appreciate the celebration ending.
Exactly.
Okay?
It's great.
Have both. I don't know. But anyway... I don't think it was in a special edition change, but at some point they changed where at the end... Vader, in that moment when he's looking back at Luke and looking back at Palpatine and kind of just making his choice, they added in that he says no. And then he picks up Palpatine and goes to throw him over and he says no. And a lot of people were just like, oh, it ruins it. It's just, you know...
No, it's important.
Yes, exactly. And for me, it's important because he is officially and verbally rejecting all of that.
Yes.
It's his standout choice. And also, again, if you read the Vader comics, there's a significant point where the last thing he says in that comic is no. And it's, I think, when in response to Palpatine, when he's like, "Did you find what you were looking for?" or whatever, and he's like, "No." And Charles Soule's like, "Yeah, his journey begins and ends with a no." With a rejection. It's just about what he's rejecting. In that moment, he was rejecting his light side, the truth that he is still Anakin Skywalker. In the end, he was rejecting the truth that he is Darth Vader.
Yes.
It's important to me. It ties it so well together of no. And you know, and again, it echoes what his son said just not long before of no.
Yes.
No, I won't do that.
And it's so poignant. Speaking of special edition changes, there's a subsection of people out there who are upset that it is Hayden Christensen edited in the ending of the celebration ending with the Ewoks. There's a reason for that. It is important. It's not just because, you know, it's Hayden Christensen. That is the last time that he was Anakin Skywalker. That is showing that it's not Darth Vader anymore. Darth Vader is dead. this is Anakin.
Yeah.
Like, that is important.
And that's where you've got to step out of the whole the lore of everything. Like, you've got to look at it as the fiction of this is to visually represent that he is who he once was, because the idea is you've seen this guy, you've watched the prequels, or you're about to, and you're going to see this guy anyway. Like, you're going to make the correlation of, oh, he's good again.
Yes.
You know, like, and that's more of a movie thing, that's more of a real thing than a lore thing, and that's okay, because these are fake, these are just movies.
It's a movie about space wizards for 12-year-olds.
Exactly.
Shut
so
up.
Like, in your lore, if he is Anakin, you know, if he is Sebastian Shaw, cool.
Fine. That's
you
great.
know, I know I liked the Sebastian Shaw thing. I mostly liked it because I had that action figure that came with that book that was detailing the entire life of Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
And that was only a big deal because that came out at a time where Anakin's story wasn't like huge and everything. Like, it was one of those nerdy things where I could be like, yeah, Anakin Skywalker, you know, whatever. Anyway, but yeah, it's so I appreciate the change of the no moment and everything like that.
Yeah.
Because it also, so that is Anakin's choice. Prior to that, Luke is in the same situation or similar that Anakin was before with Mace and Palpatine, where this moment of, like, do you choose to strike him down and give in, or do you stand your ground and say no? And Luke is doing what Anakin should have done.
He is finishing what he started.
Right, and that's what gives Anakin, Vader, the ability to look at this moment and choose to do the same thing, do what he should have done all those years ago. Like, so all of those moments bleed in together to make this wonderful and emotional thing of just, you know, redemption. This is utterly just redemption, and this is obviously about sacrificial love and everything like that. Because in this moment, he's just making the right choice for the right choice. He's not thinking about having picnics with his kids afterwards. He's not thinking about what this means. He's just thinking about, in this moment, what is the right thing to do.
Yes.
And it's to throw a guy down a shaft, apparently.
I'm just gonna throw you down a shaft, my dude.
You know, and so yeah, I love, you know, now a big reason I watched episode 6 is when I get nostalgic for these scenes, these moments of Luke being a Jedi and these moments of Vader being Anakin.
Yeah.
You know, I love that this is a very humanized Vader. There's so many moments where he's like, no, it's too late. They're like, he's talking about it. He's not just Vader, the emotionless machine. He is struggling, you know, and I love that we see that side of him come forward. I mean, the truth is out. I'm your father. You told him. There's no denying it anymore. And that's the thing he doesn't realize, I think, as a character, and that's what's significant to me, is for a moment, you agreed that you were still Anakin Skywalker by admitting that you're his father.
Yes.
Because Darth Vader is not his father. Anakin is. So it's one of those things where it's like you choose what you let in, like what truth you choose to live and everything like that. And so, yeah, like I love that stuff.
It's amazing. Like, we've talked so much about what Star Wars is about. It is about family. It is about love. It is about so many of these fantastic minutia story elements. But in reality, it is a story about redemption.
Mm-hmm.
It is a story that tells, you know, kids and adults that no matter what you've done, no matter, you know, how long you sat with your mistakes, there's always a place. There's always someone to help you get to a point where you need to be.
Yep.
There is no time that it is too late for you to be redeemed. Only if you make a choice.
Exactly.
If you make the choice to be better, if you make a choice to get help, if you make a choice to be the person you know you're meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
That is what Star Wars is about.
Yeah, and that's the significance of, you know, and there's this great quote that I'll pull up because it is my cover photo on my personal Twitter page, because it means
so good at vamping.
Something to me. And so it's from George Lucas. It's a quote from one of the interviews that he did preceding the special edition things. And it was, everybody has a choice of being the hero or not being the hero every day of their lives. And you can either help somebody, you can be compassionate towards people, you can try and treat people with dignity or not. And one way you become a hero, and the other way you're part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that stands out to me, and that's meaningful to me because of exactly like what you're saying. Salvation, redemption, and goodness is a choice away.
Yeah.
It's always just one choice to make. And that's the thing of this whole culmination. It's not just the right people making the right choices, but it's also the people that have thought they'd never had a choice, realizing they can as well. And that's the thing with, and again, that's the significance. Anakin seeing Luke make this choice. You can say no.
Mm-hmm.
You can just resist this evil, and it will flee from you. Okay, I think I can do that too. Then, like again, it's that seeing what could have been in the next generation and everything, but then not letting it just be what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Not choosing to either force, your son to do what you did, but also not saying, well, you do what you want, but I have to live with my choices. Well, I mean, you do, but you can live in a different way. And so, yeah, absolutely. It's a Terminator thing, there's no fate but what you make. It is what you choose to do today.
Iron Giant, you are who you choose to be.
Right? We're just saying quotes from things. Rubber baby buggy bumpers. Ha! You didn't think I would say that, did you? No, I'm sorry. I just watched Last Action Hero recently, so I was just
great movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this for the sake of the redemption story. I don't think it's undone by the sequel trilogy existing or anything. I think because I believe the truth is that evil always exists. Exactly. Therefore, light always must as well. I just think it's, if you believe that if you make right choices today to make every day then afterwards better, I think you're on the right track. But if as soon as you have a bad day, if that makes you question whether you did the right thing yesterday, then you didn't really do the right thing for the right reasons. If Vader did this act of sacrificial love and killed Palpatine, believing that everything was going to be okay forever just because of that, instead of just simply to stand up against the evil and save his son, then I think it kind of takes the air out of the tires and the meaning out of the moment.
Yeah.
It's simply about, again, making that choice right there for that moment, for that battle. Everything else after that is the responsibility of everyone else that came after.
Yes.
It's what Luke chooses to do after that. It's what Lando chooses to do after that. It's what Wicket chooses to do. It's the thing of just I don't think the point was that Anakin made everything better for everyone forever. I think it's simply that he made the right choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't think. I think we put too much weight on the whole chosen one thing and make it like that somehow meant that everything was supposed to be. First of all right, you punks that keep being like, oh, well, how can Kylo and all Palpatine's alive and all that happened in the books.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to yell and peek the microphone, but gosh dang it, you tallywhackers, that happened in the books. Just because it happened in movies that you choose not to like because they're good movies. You heard me. Oh my gosh. It just infuriates me that choices that were made in books that you're nostalgic about is somehow okay. But when those choices are made for the next generation to inspire them for their own unique stories, that doesn't burn your books, by the way, then it's all of a sudden garbage. And it's just it was never meant to be that Anakin did this thing and made all of the universe correct. Otherwise, one of my favorite comic series, Star Wars Legacy, would not exist, and Darth Krayt, with his assistant Darth Nihil, would not exist. One of the coolest Sith Lords ever. It's always been that way. It's always been, this saved this moment, this solved this story, now do what you, oh my gosh. It's just infuriating. Here's
the thing, John. Rey isn't Mara Jade, so none of it matters.
Right. I got off on such a tangent. I apologize. I'm so sorry.
Honestly.
I get so infuriated about that because it's just that the argument's silly, first of all. And then it's made worse by, again, it's never, ever, ever been respected as a lore point that everything ended at episode 6.
Mm-hmm.
There were still battles. There were still struggles. Chewie freaking died.
He got hit by a moon.
So much crap happened. So therefore, bump off. Bumping grass hoe. Gosh, like, just read your dang books if you don't like the movies. Like, just leave me alone on Twitter about it. I don't want to hear squat about it anyway. I'm sorry.
Enjoying this, honestly.
This is what happens when I'm tired and unfiltered and just talking about things I love. Here's the thing. Okay, what I'm not saying is that those other lore stories are garbage, because the Yuzhan Vong suck. Don't get me wrong, but great mini stories.
We are going to get so many letters.
I don't care. At least hey, if I gotta piss somebody off to have a conversation. I mean, I used to do that with my parents. I just used to make them mad so they'd talk to me. So if I have to do that with the internet, I will, man. I will. And by parents, I mean my father, not my mother. My mother was a saint, and don't you dare say otherwise. Yeah. But you know what I mean. Like, no, like, we've said, I don't like the Yuzhan Vong. I don't think they're Star Wars. I think that should have been its own unique story, and it's just not great. But
your fan thing, Dan, find some Twitter comments.
There's so many other things that... I found them. I found them a long time ago. This is just me. There's so many things that do work very well. Thrawn, I think, is great. I actually really like the stuff that deals with Palpatine's clone and Luke kind of turned into the dark. Like, I liked a lot of that with the Heir to the Empire and everything. But I like Triclops. That stuff's interesting. The son of Palpatine? Okay. Guess what? Okay. Rise of Skywalker did it too. Exactly. I'm just, like, you know what I mean? Like, was that ASMR? Let me know if that was ASMR for you. I don't know. Did
you get the tingles?
Did you get the tingles?
Speaking of Triclops and Trioculus, currently on Bombadcast, they're doing a fantastic series with Michael McCoy, who is the sweetest baby boy ever, who is an expert on Triclops.
I saw that. I was a big fan.
Fantastic.
Anytime anybody's talking about Triclops, I think it's awesome.
You pay attention.
I love it. I mean, it's super duper interesting. Is it ridiculous? Yes.
Yes.
That doesn't disqualify it.
That's the point.
Here's the thing. Ridiculous doesn't disqualify. Just bad writing does. And that's just the Yuzhan Vong, you know? I mean, it just is what it is.
It's not bad writing. It's sci-fi.
All right. Okay.
That's the description.
I'm sorry.
Sci-fi is not bad writing.
No,
it's just schlocky.
It's bad Star Wars.
Okay.
All right. This is a Halloween 3 situation.
This is bad radio.
Okay. I need everyone to hear me with your baby ears. Okay. Bring your baby ears nice and close. Put your AirPods in or whatever. All right. Listen, Halloween 3 is the best Halloween movie, but it's also the worst Halloween movie.
Yes.
It is just utterly amazing. It's just in the wrong series.
I agree.
Like,
I agree. It should have been its own movie.
I firmly believe so many more people would like it if it wasn't in the Halloween. If it wasn't Halloween 3, if it was just its own thing.
If it was a sequel to Body Bags.
Just call it Season of the Witch, watch it tonight, and don't think about Michael Myers. Don't think about white-faced Captain Kirk, because that's what that mask is, by the way. Just think about an excellent movie, and it's awesome. Guess what? Read the Yuzhan Vong, the New Jedi Order books, all right? Like, read those books, and just replace Luke with Travis, right? And Han, Han is Brad now, okay? And Leia's Jeff. All right, because it's modern and interesting. And then Chewie's Rebecca. All right, like, just change the names, change the planets, and it's a really banging sci-fi story. It's really awesome. It's just not good Star Wars, in my opinion.
Okay, there you go. That's the.
My name's John Wilcox, and I approve this message. If you want to come forward, listen. All right, if you like those, I've never said that you're wrong for liking those. I'm merely saying that I don't. Okay, don't take anything we do seriously. First of all, okay, that's your first. That's your first mistake if you're listening to this podcast. Second of all, don't stop liking something because some stupid podcaster said so. Like,
this is a podcast for ding-dongs, guys.
Right, like ding-dongs and Twinkies and ho-hos, man. Like, all are welcome in this church.
Shout out to my ho-hos.
So, but like, yeah, like, don't get me wrong, and don't, I mean, if you...
It's hot hostess summer, baby.
And don't tell me which book did you... No, I don't like them. I don't like them as Star Wars. That's fine, because there's so dang much more. So, anyway,
You were losing your mind. Do I need to read the comments?
This got so off track. Did you have anything else? I mean, we really didn't talk about Endor much. I love Ewoks.
I love Ewoks too.
Thank you, Force Center, for helping me love Ewoks. They put me into therapy. They revitalized and rehabilitated me, and they have shown me the light that is murder bears, and I cannot see them as otherwise. They are murder bears.
They are murder bears.
They are scary.
Scary.
Yes. If you saw one of these dang things at the end of your bed in the middle of the night, just with that creepy face from that one gif, you know what I'm talking about. You would be scared. And that's all it takes. Also, play Ewok Hunt on Battlefront 2. It's terrifying to hear the forest chatter, and then all of us. I mean, they literally say you've been taken by the forest. It's just haunting. So, but yeah, murder bears are cool.
Murder bears are great. I love Sice Noodles. I love the entire Jabba's palace scene. It's fantastic.
I don't mind the Boba Fett thing. You know what? Because it is a stupid accident. It is just the. I mean, it is to say that you are never too cool.
Exactly.
To slip and fall in the hallway and bust your knee. It doesn't matter how good you're doing in life. You're probably still going to trip over your own feet. It's going to happen one day, dude.
You're going to fall down the stairs.
If Boba Fett can have a bad day, so can you. Yeah. And you know what? He's still rocking.
And you know what? They should have learned from that and stopped using jetpacks.
Exactly. I mean, really, though. I mean, there's so many, you know what? 10 ways to die with a jetpack. That's just the next every single time it's happened. More than you think. Anyway.
Where are we?
Listener comments.
Yes.
So first and foremost, we do have a Patreon. If you want to pay for this madness, you can choose to do so. Essentially what you do is you support us in making this content. You get added to a group chat that is just bonkers, where we invite our friends to share their thoughts. First and foremost, they always get priority, and they give us ideas for stuff all the time. And we appreciate them so much, Jim, Doug, Rebecca, and Nicholas. You guys are awesome. And for this one, Nicholas took the mic and shared with us some of their thoughts. He said that it's hard because as a kid, he watched the Star Wars trilogy on repeat and would often fast forward through what the kid version of him felt were the slow parts of A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. But when it came to Return of the Jedi, he watched from beginning to end. Jabba's palace was epic and exhilarating, the Ewoks were lovable, and the standoff between Vader, Luke, and Palpatine is, of course, the most famous of... is awesome. And then, of course, the most famous of lines, "It's a trap." Is that the most famous?
I'd say so. I'd say it's either it's
you know
a trap
why you know why
No, I am your father.
You know why it's the most famous? Because nobody can say that second line correctly.
It's a trap.
No. I am your father, not Luke. I am your father. Watch Mojo has told you this 12 times, and you people still don't get it. Anyway, so thanks, Nick, for sharing your thoughts.
Georgia's coming out tonight. I don't know why. You people.
We also got Anthony Sword that commented that it's a flawed film, but fantastic redemption story. I'd love for you to elaborate and exaggerate on what flawed film means. You can't just drop that kind of bomb and walk off, but there you go. I mean, what isn't? What isn't a flawed film?
I have one. I have one.
If it's not Young Frankenstein, it's wrong.
It was a Vampire's Kiss, but you're close.
Literally no one.
You can't.
You are the only. You and Nicolas Cage are the only people that like that movie.
If the movie is buck wild to begin with.
You and Nicolas Cage are the only people that love that movie. I'm just thinking of that therapy session. Oh my gosh.
Please see doctor.
And then
I've been going through a lot lately.
Right, Rancor Writer just shared a GIF of the Rancor.
Yeah, I wonder why.
You know, I mean, I was gonna mention, you know, other than the cantina scene, this is the wildest when it comes to like weird creature stuff. Like, other than passing glances, we didn't really get like the lived-in, like, is this normal kind of situation? But like, you know, giant space slug gangster keeping a giant, you know, man-eating beast in his dungeon.
And a hot Twi'lek.
Very on point for Star Wars. Set a precedent that we're still living with today. It's interesting.
The hot Twi'lek or the...
All of it. Yeah. I mean, all of it's sort of... I mean, we can't think of Star Wars and hotness without thinking of Twi'leks, apparently. Yeah. You know what? Droids are sexy, too. Right?
Droids are sexy.
And all their curves and all their bad motivators. Like, goodness gracious, it's not all about green and blue skin and red skin and yellow skin.
Purple.
There's a lot of Twi'lek skins. It's interesting.
Really are.
I'd like to know the breakdown of how that happens, or is that like a regional thing, or
I want to know. You know what I want to know? How
what love is?
I want to know what love is. I already know because I'm with you.
Hey.
How did Cham Syndulla get hotter somewhere from Clone Wars to Bad Batch?
Better animation.
That will be it. That
Yep.
would be it.
So yeah, thank you. The line is still open. Feel free to let us know what you enjoy, past, present, and future, about Return of the Jedi. We are bookending now the original trilogies. So we have talked about the originals and why we love them, and we are going into the sequels next at some point. We have a lot of things to discuss and a lot of things to do with this podcast, and that is definitely on the docket. But so are many other things. We mentioned we do want to talk about Loki. I want to talk about Thor. I think that the Thor trilogy is my favorite trilogy, and I can't wait to talk about that. As well as a lot of other things, because we also, as far as MCU is concerned, we're getting Shang-Chi soon, and I am very excited about that.
So good.
We are also getting a new Masters of the Universe series.
Ooh.
I have been binging my childhood with the Transformers series, and I can't wait to talk about it and indoctrinate you all. And then there's also other weird things that we want to do. And so all of that is to come, so that's why you should subscribe wherever you're getting this, in your ears and eyes and orifices. However you absorb this weird content, we appreciate it. We also, again, appreciate our patrons, because they go the extra mile in supporting us and putting up with us and sometimes directing us and whatnot. So thank you to you guys. Check out in the link below ways that you can support us, both through Patreon, or if you just want a one-off, you can do that through Expedition Roasters. They make amazing coffee, and you are a better human for it. And every purchase purchased at the link in our description goes to support the show. So help you help us. It's awesome. And with that, we will be back.
We will be back. Keep an eye on Twitter. No reason.
I mean, well, social media in general.
Yeah.
Follow us and interact with us there, please. Again, we do what we do to have friends and conversations. So every time that we can continue an episode in the comments and in the various social medias, we love to do so.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we'll be back with more content soon. Don't know what it is, but you'll see it eventually. And you might listen or you might not.
You may not.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Only you.
We'll
Only
see.
this blade tells.
Won't we?
Yeah, we will.